Welcome to week 96 in our program, and this time we're continuing our discussion of a deep dive into Chi Sau and Chi Sau concepts. Why do we use sticking hands? Why do we practice it? How can it be useful? This time I want to focus on something that's a big problem in Wing Chun, and that is people take the forms too literally, particularly speaking in terms of Siu Nim Tau, the first form. In the first section of Siu Nim Tau, we're making a very, very definite effort to get into the center. So I want my Tan Sau as close to the center as possible. I want my Fuk Sau as close to the center as possible. But if you continue thinking like that when you do Chi Sau, you've missed the point of the exercise, because the form is not just preparing you for Chi Sau, it's preparing other things as well. You have to be able to think on a multi-level situation. Why I'm doing those actions the way I do them in the Siu Nim Tau form, I used Jung's arms as the demonstration. If we train the Tan Sau to come in as near as possible to the center, it's encouraging his arm to go forwards, to have Lat Sau Jik Tong. If he trained the Siu Nim Tau form with his arm off the center, it would be less likely to go forward with the same kind of energy. What we do is we manipulate the structure to get a much more effective result. No different for Fuk Sau. If you had the Fuk Sau out there and I pushed on it, it's quite likely it'll just stay there, or it might encourage him to push from the shoulder and it would go across. But if he tucks in like we do in the form, now even though I'm putting force outwards, his hand goes forwards. It goes towards my center. Now that's the purpose of the first section of the form. It's not trying to tell you that when you do Chi Sau, to try to jam your arm right into the middle. Why? Because if he's got his arm right in the middle and he's desperately trying to hold the center, any movement by me will cause him to fall away, because he's got nowhere to go to, because he's already occupied the absolute center. So he will get forced away. Let's take single hand Chi Sau as the perfect example before we look at two hand. By having his arm off the center, when I attack, he's got somewhere to move to. He can absorb and redirect. If it's already there, he can't absorb and redirect. It pushes him away. Tan Sau is the same. In the training exercise, I'm trying to get that spring. But in Chi Sau, if he has his Tan Sau all the way in, I can hit him without even trying. What he needs to do is have his Tan Sau in front of the inner part of his shoulder. That way he can keep me out. He can either attack through the center, or he can redirect by adjusting his hip and elbow. So we take it up to the next level. We're doing Pun Sau, the rolling action. We don't want to be squeezing into the middle, because I'm actually choking my own technique. If Jung wants to hit now, it's very easy. If he wants to hit me with this hand, it's very easy. But if I keep my Tan Sau in front of his shoulder, that way if he tries to get in, it's easy for me to stop him. My Fuk Sau is not jammed into the middle, because if it is, he can push through or go round. If he chooses to push through, too easy. But if I have my arm in a much more natural position, if I just bring it up naturally, if he tries to get in, it's got somewhere to go. So keep in mind, when you're doing Chi Sau, the whole idea is to open up and give your opponent an opportunity to try to get in. If you slam the door in his face, first problem, you're not giving your partner an opportunity to attack with their best technique. Second problem, you're actually exposing yourself to not being able to counter. So we mustn't mix what we do in the form exactly with what we do in Chi Sau. There's a little bit of flexibility involved. We'll continue on the next episode.